Welcome to Come and See, your podcast for finding truth in a world of chaos. Brought to you by All for Jesus Living Waters Ministry. With host and founder Richard Case and co-host and retreat leader Kathy Ricconi. Today is our special guest day, where we will hear from a friend of the ministry who will share their insight and stories on truth in this chaotic world. And now your host, Richard Case.
Well, good morning, everybody. This is Guest Thursday, and we're excited to have Chris and Melissa Harrington from Texas, and good friends of Steve and Carolyn Van Oudegen, who are leaders with us, and they've been in abiding retreats with them. And so first of all, where are you guys actually? What town are you in right now?
We're in Sugar Land, Texas.
Sugar Land. Is that south, right? South, kind of west?
Southwest, yes, sir.
Of Houston.
Yep.
Yeah.
There was a really good gymnast from Sugar Land, right? Back
I
in the
think-
day.
yes.
Wasn't there an Olympic gymnast
Yeah.
from there?
Yes, I'd be lying if I named her, but yes, I believe there's two big gyms here that a lot of athletes travel to. So
Excellent, yeah.
How long have you lived there?
2017, actually New Year's Eve, 2017, 2018, we moved in. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Were you in Houston then when the Ira came through, the hurricane?
Harvey?
Harvey? Yeah.
Yes, we were in Sugar Land
Mhm.
when Harvey hit.
How was that?
We have some fun stories.
Yeah, well, so we live about a mile and a half from the Brazos River, so all the neighborhoods here have levee systems around them, and so we weren't really aware of our levee system until, Hurricane Harvey, and I think we were 2 feet away from breaching the levee.
Wow.
So we were watching, we got updated and got connected with the levee improvement district and started getting all these notifications. So we weren't even aware that it was there protecting us until we needed it, and it did its job.
But that's not the fun part.
Yeah, I
No,
have
the
a good story.
We have a funny story about
Yeah.
how so we had to go get the big box truck from work, and we
Yeah.
put seafood in it so we could eat something, and then you ended up rescuing people in
Yeah.
the back of the truck. He could drive through the neighborhoods, and people were jumping in, and so he had
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, there's like a couple of people that
It was
I helped get out of a
really-
neighborhood down the way that their levee didn't hold up so well. And so we got a direct message on Facebook, and I had the box truck here, and I was like, just went into action, and I've got videos and everything.
That's awesome.
It could go through 4 feet of water. And so I ended up picking up a couple different sets of folks. They were coordinating. There's people on Facebook that were out of town watching this happen, and they stepped in, they start coordinating people to get them to houses, and they were dispatching me. And I thought it was a sheriff's department, but it was just people just on Facebook.
That's
Stepping in to help.
amazing.
from Austin or something.
Yeah, I thought he worked for like some government services or something. He's dispatching me to pick up all these people, but it was that was one of the cool things to see, just people come together, utilizing
Absolutely.
social media to help, someone in need. So that was a really fun experience.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. Well, and by the way, Kathy, when they talk a little bit about their business, it's kind of cool. I'm actually a customer of theirs,
Oh, excellent.
and look forward to their product all the time. And they'll be able to share about that, how cool that is. So
Yeah, I'm curious to hear. I did notice it was seafood, and I am a seafood fanatic, so I will be curious to hear about
well,
this.
you got to become a customer there. So, well, to start with, we'd love to have you share with the audience individually, how did you each come to know Christ in your life? So tell us your background and how that transpired. So Melissa, we'll go ahead and start with you and just tell us your story.
Okay, great. So I grew up in a small town in South Louisiana. Amazing parents, truly lived out, what it was to be a servant leader, a good person. They were teachers and coaches, and ended up adopting siblings when I was 5. So I have an adopted brother and sister, Zule and Ricardo, and my brother Jason is a year and a half older than I am. And grew up in a loving home. We weren't church going people, but we were people loving people. So my dad was the one picking up people and giving them rides everywhere. I mean, it probably would never happen today in today's world, but stopping, giving our Gatorade or whatever to the guy who needed help. And they truly loved people. So I got to see that firsthand. But it wasn't until college, we prayed every night. We always prayed to God. We always did dinner. We never really had we weren't really involved in a church or youth group type of setting. My mom claims that we always revolted. We said, we're not going. We're too cool for youth group. Anyway, so it wasn't until college I got a scholarship to play soccer at Texas A&M. And it was really through meeting Christian women in college who really lived out what it was like to love the Lord, serve the Lord, and had a genuine relationship. Before that, it was honestly, it was you're Catholic and you just go to mass and that's it. Or we weren't really in the Bible Belt part. So I never had even heard the term like born again Christian or relationship with Jesus. It was just church was always something that you either did or didn't do. So truly just being blessed enough to be modeled by these Christian women that had such foundational roots in what it was like to love Jesus. And they loved on me and with no judgment. And I was saved as a sophomore in college by a friend leading me to Christ. So
that's so cool.
Really cool. And it's why, we're going to brainwash our kids to go to A&M, right? Because salvation and all the other wonderful things about being a conservative Texas school. No, just kidding. But yeah, that's the in a nutshell of my story. But go ahead.
Yeah, and so I was raised by a single parent. My dad raised my sister and I. My parents got divorced when I was 5. He got saved and had a big change of life, and so he ended up with custody of my sister and I, and so we were raised in a born-again Christian home with a single dad. And so I got to watch him grow in his faith and relationship with Jesus, and it was a great model for me. So
what town was that in?
That was when I was 5. So 5 years old, my parents got divorced because my dad had this miraculous conversion and got sober and went on this completely different life track in Houston.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was in the early 90s. And then I was actually at a Newsboys concert.
I remember the Newsboys.
8 years old here, and there was an altar call, and I was like, I gotta go. And so my dad and I went, and that was the first time that I accepted Christ, and I believe that I really did. And then when I was 15, we were on a mission trip in the San Blas Islands in Panama. We were playing basketball with the Kuna Indians, and I got baptized in a river there in Panama, and I dedicated my life to Christ again as a more mature believer.
Right. Wow, beautiful. So then, how did you two? So now you're a believer in high school, right? Chris and Melissa, you became a believer at college. When did you meet? How did you guys come together? And
are you both Aggies?
Yeah, so I played football at Texas A&M. So it was my senior year, the summer before my senior year. I had been in a relationship for a few years, and so
like 20.
Yeah, so we've both been in kind of long-term dating relationships, and we both had ended those relationships. And so I reached out. I realized we had the same birthday, January 19th. So last Thursday was our shared birthday. I'm a year older.
Oh my! Hold on a second. Do you know the story of my daughter, Michelle?
No.
She passed away this year.
Oh my God.
And her birthday is January 19th. We actually, and you just did too, but we actually celebrated. We went out. She had a favorite restaurant. We celebrated her birthday this last week. So So yeah, okay. Sorry about that, but it was interesting,
man.
interesting situation. But so okay, Jet, that's your birthday, and what happened?
Well, Facebook had just been invented, so I messaged her on Facebook. You had to have an A&M email address.
Yeah, they call it, yeah.
But I was like, hey, I see we're both single, and I'd like to get to know you. And she's like, I'm sure y'all get back together. She didn't give me the time of day. And we had a date, and didn't go so well. I took her to the movies, which you should never do on a first date.
My boys already know that. Do not take a girl to the movies on your first date. You cannot talk. It's so awkward.
So we went the whole summer, and then we both ended up in Dallas at it was an A&M coaches night. There was probably 2,500 people in a ballroom. I was there to talk about football. Melissa was there representing the women's soccer team. And I guess Melissa saw something different after that encounter. So she started giving me some time, and
then we started hanging out. And that was that.
Yeah, so we started hanging out, and then that was my senior season. It was Melissa's junior year, but last season playing. So the worst timing. I was getting ready to leave. So we dated for 6 months, and then I left to go get ready for the NFL draft and go through the whole combine.
Oh,
wow. What position did you play?
So I played defensive end,
Mm-hmm.
and Melissa was a forward. So we were both the captains of our respective teams at the end that last season, which was pretty cool. I was completely distracted all season, but I left, and it was really great because we were pen pals. Everything being remote. I just remember like journaling and writing emails and talking on the phone, and it was so healthy for us to be apart, but still dating. So that was a really formative time for us during that season when I was away.
So did you, when you were prepping for the combine, were you back in Houston then?
Yeah, I was actually in Sugar Land. There was a gym here that my agent rented me an apartment, and so I was training here, and Melissa would come visit.
So Melissa, you still were at school then, right?
I was. I had 1 semester left.
Yeah. It's College Station, which is where Texas A&M is. How far is that away from Houston?
About an hour and a half.
Hour and a half. So you were separated that way, okay. And Chris, did you wind up going to Indianapolis to the combine?
Yeah, I went to the combine and did all that. I ended up getting drafted by the Arizona Cardinals.
Oh, wow.
And so I went to Arizona, and Melissa was still in College Station. And so our pen pal relationship continued, and I got there and realized that the only person I wanted to be with was her. And so I came home over Thanksgiving break and proposed while she was still in college, and she accepted, and the rest is history.
And now, did you play for the Cardinals for a while then, or?
Yeah, got drafted. We got married after my first season.
Okay.
Melissa joined me on the NFL journey after that. And we
Some
got
stories to tell there.
We got to see a lot of the country, from Melissa being, the captain of the soccer team, the leader, to have to submit and follow me, chasing my dream, was definitely a challenge for her. And you got anything to add to that?
I just, it's funny about like life and perspective. Married 13 years now, 3 kids, however many businesses later, and what I would give to just could wake up in the morning and just go read a book on the beach in Jacksonville, or like just go hike, the mountain in Arizona, and not, be in the fast paced, person that I was. I just didn't enjoy it because I didn't know how to truly like rest or abide, I guess would be.
Right.
It was so hard to not produce or have this output.
It's countercultural to what you were used to and what
very,
you
very
thought
much
was valuable. Yeah.
And I guess a lot of my identity at the time was like it, being an achiever, getting to this next place, and so that was fun. Really, really tough time, but it was also interesting because the NFL, in our experience, was not lifestyles of the rich and famous by any means. It was we were very mobile. I mean,
Right.
we would go here, and just the way the system works, if you're on a practice roster and you get activated to the full roster, you got to take it. You got to take that chance. So we ended up moving around a good bit, and I was really good at packing up the car or the U-Haul and driving it while he was already on a plane somewhere.
Wow.
So, but we met so many amazing Christian
Hmm.
couples through that whole time. We ended up getting baptized again right together before our wedding in February. Are you crying?
Yeah, it's just like, the people that we met along the way. I mean, just
It was awesome.
amazing couples, just really foundational for our development, learning how to pray together, small groups, just really, I think leaving the home environment with no family impact. We're out on this adventure on our own, and God just formed us using, all kinds of people and circumstances, and those people still are in our life.
That's so cool.
Well, and the football, it's like its own kind of church in a way where, we do small group together, and, there's a chaplain on every team. So immediately when you got there, you had a group to kind of, graft into. So that was really, really cool.
So the first year it was like Kurt Warner in Arizona,
Yeah.
Meet him and being alongside that group. And then, just every step along the way, we just met wonderful people, and we still have relationships with, to this day.
In Cincinnati, Billy Graham's granddaughter, Sissy, is, married to Corey, who's a rookie, rookie with him. So truly just amazing groups that we got to grow with and learn from. So that was
amazing to look back and see, okay, God orchestrated that. That wasn't by happenstance, that he was choosing these people for you to influence and to influence you.
That's right.
And just what a beautiful gift that is.
Did you, I'm sure you've watched Kurt's movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a great story.
It's a great story, yeah.
Our 8-year-old loves that movie.
Yeah. So
he calls him Curtain Warner. He calls him Curtain.
Back up one step, and that is, Melissa, what attracted you to Chris that you felt like, I really do want to spend the rest of my life with him? What was about that hit you?
Yeah, he's a man of his word. I mean, he truly has such great integrity. He does what he says he's going to do, and he knows who he is, and that's foundational for him. And he's always had the Holy Spirit like leading and guiding him truly, and he has great vision. I mean, I think that's the really thing that I've noticed over the last decade as we've moved, and these businesses have grown and transformed and died and rebirthed and all the things in that journey, is that he wakes up, he has such an ear for what God's telling him to do and such a heart to follow. He'll wake up at 2:30 in the morning, get up, start journaling. I'll get up, and he's like 15 pages in, crying. He's that man. And so as a spouse and as someone that I can look to for direction for our family, he can be trusted with that. And so, and he's always been that way. So that's kind of my attraction, and he's cute.
Yeah. Chris, how about you? What attracted you to Melissa?
Well, I think one is her servant's heart. So all that she mentioned about her childhood and growing up in South Louisiana and her dad and mom, and just a true servant's heart. Never met a stranger. Wherever we go, she ends up in a corner and someone's like telling their life story, like
I love it.
their guts out to her, and it's because she really does care. And everybody that meets her gets that feeling, like she truly does care about everyone, which I've learned that we have to protect that sometimes. But it was that true servant's heart, a love for hospitality and cooking, and always fun and exciting, and never a dull moment. And so she's everything that I'm not. So she helps balance me in relationships. She's a mobilizer, so she really gets people, and I'm more of an optimizer, problem solver, and so we balance each other really well.
Yeah.
Like a good combination.
Yeah, beautiful. So you got married. You are in football, traveling obviously around. And what happened that you left football, and then what did you do after that? What did you two then start to do after that in terms of having a family as well as your careers?
Yeah, so so I went to Arizona. I got picked up by the Bengals, so we went there for an off season, the end of the season off season, and then I got cut and went back to Arizona, back on the practice squad, and then I got picked up by Jacksonville, so we spent the end of the season and an off season in Jacksonville.
Arizona, Jacksonville.
Yeah.
That's a lot of U-hauling, right?
Like any
Yeah, and then Cincinnati in between. And then my third season, Jacksonville cut me to sign the first round pick. And the GM, I remember crying when I got cut because I'd done everything that I could possibly do to be successful. And the GM told me, he goes, "Chris, you did everything we ever asked of you." He goes, "Except for that one time you were late." You remembered one time that I was late.
Yeah, one time, yeah.
No, but he goes, "If I had a son, I'd want him to be like you." And that was like one of the most touching like comments like for me. And I was like, "Thank you." He goes, "Do you want to come work for me in the front office?" I'm like, "No, I'm a football player." And so and then I took a week off. One week of training camp I missed, and then I went to Tennessee for the last 3 weeks. So the last year was like just it's all kind of sputtering to an end. And so I was frustrated. I was praying. I was like, "Lord, if you want me to play football, I need you to open the door. If you don't, I need you to close it." And so the third game of that third season, I ended up tearing my ACL. And I'm on the field in like complete peace, like not upset at all. Like knowing
you've got an answer now.
Well, my season's over. Like I know that. But I'm just at complete peace. And just because I've been praying and the Lord had put something on my heart. I had met a guy when I was in Arizona who owned a lobster company. So he sold live lobsters. He lived in New Hampshire.
Oh, I've met him.
Have you?
Yeah, I was at a Bigelow conference with him. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. They were the
Well,
Keysburg
boy.
the two brothers that run the lobster business. Is that who you're talking about?
I don't know.
I bet it is. I mean, because they're a known
Not a
thing
believer.
around here.
So he's
Not a believer. Yes, not a believer. Definitely not.
Rail
But some fun
LaVoy.
stories.
Rail
Very
LaVoy.
boisterous.
Yes.
Yeah.
And his boys run the lobster business.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
At a Bigelow concert?
At a Bigelow conference. It's a forum, a private equity forum thing, a business thing that we were at.
Wow.
Yeah.
What are the chances?
Right.
So we had a flight booked to go see our friends in the lobster business on our bye week, which happened to be like the week after I got hurt. And I was like, "We're just gonna go." And so that during that season, I was just writing and journaling and just seeking the Lord. And He answered through an injury. And we went to Maine and saw the whole facility and came back, moved in with my mom, Melissa and I both. I had surgery and started rehab. And I set up an office in the guest room, and I started writing a business plan, and we started researching and connecting the dots. And by the time I was recovered, we had found a distributor in Houston that wasn't selling live lobsters, and we talked them into distributing for us. And so we found a warehouse, the only 3,000 square foot single dock high door air conditioned warehouse in Houston happened to be like 3 doors down from them. And so we took our last 10 grand, and my business partner put in $80,000, and we built a big lobster tank and started Lone Star Lobster.
Well, that's so wild.
Now, when you say distribute, were they at that point distributing to restaurants or to your individuals?
Restaurants and grocery stores.
Okay.
So we built a big lobster tank. We started trucking lobsters into Texas, and
so you would truck them from Maine to Texas.
Yep.
Put them in your tank.
Yep.
And then you sent them to the distributor, sent them to the restaurants, and
We'd pack out their orders to order, and then we'd walk the boxes next door when we started. And yeah, so we knew nothing about business. I mean, we remember some of the first like invoices and bills and things we had to figure out. And
Knew nothing. Like when we finally decided we needed to pay ourselves something to live, I just wrote a check out of like the checkbook. I didn't realize there's probably needed to be some taxes pulled out of that.
oh, by the way, the government wants their portion of it. Yeah,
They want their money. Oh, they got plenty of money.
Yeah.
No, it's just so funny what you learn. I mean, truly hands-on, just figuring it out and knowing, just keep taking the next right step.
Mm-hmm.
But that business, lobster's market change went crazy. The business was not really.
So that was 2011 that we started, and in 2015 we grew it to almost 10 million in revenue, and we sold
Wow.
a the lobsters. It was like it blew everybody's minds. And I was stuck between these two big companies, and I just connected them, and I just kept solving the problems, and it just kept growing and growing and growing. And then things started to change.
Oh, well, what do you? Go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, I said the market went
Tag, you're
crazy.
it.
Too expensive.
As Melissa said, like the Lord gives me vision. When I bring a problem to him, he's faithful to provide a solution. And so a lot of the pivots that we've made really they saved us at different seasons, and they were just in the right time, and it was always learning and growing us.
Yeah, the first pivot so from live lobster, we started going to some other live seafood products. We weren't making enough revenue to really cover how big, the overhead for the business. So we're like, okay, well, we have to generate more. So what are we going to do? So we end up pivoting into full line seafood distribution, to where we can get, go and have a lot more direct relationships. And that, kind of grew again. And then, got to this place where we're trucking along, we're building it back up, and COVID hits, and we lose 50% of revenue overnight, all food service sales, and not being backed by anyone, and not a super strong banking relationship at the time, is very, very rough couple of years, where we're trying to figure out, okay, God keeps providing, but like what's next?
And so during that process, we were in the seafood business. We had access to all this great seafood, but it was in these bulk forms. Mm-hmm. And so Melissa's like, I want to get healthy. We had a trip coming up that we were going to Mexico with some friends, and she's like, I want to eat healthy and get in shape. And so I bought a case of salmon, and we portioned it and vacuum sealed it and froze it. And when we had it in our freezer, it was much more convenient to eat. And so on that trip with our best couple friend, by the end of it, we're like, we look great, we feel great from eating fish. I'm like, if Emily wants it too, then someone else may want it. I was like, you girls need to like figure out a market for like this frozen seafood. And that's where the vision for Fish Fix was started. And so within a couple months of getting back from that trip, Melissa had created the website, figured out the online store, and we started Fish Fix October.
2017.
2017.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
There's a few other businesses sprinkled in there too. We're kind of serial entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
So have you sold off these other businesses along the way, just morphed them as you've gone? How has that played out? And how long have you been in C12? Because that's your connection with Steve and Carolyn, right?
That's right. Yeah. So I joined C12 in 2015. So 7 years. One of the businesses, so we started with Lone Star Lobster, and then the next business we developed was Lone Star Tank and Supply. And so that's a tank service and manufacturing company. We build and service lobster tanks. And so that business is still doing well and running. And then Lone Star Lobster became Lone Star Seafood in 2018. and that's a whole nother story that I don't think we have time for today. But I had to buy out the partner, our lobster partner, and that was a really, really difficult season for me. But God was very faithful through it, and then we shifted to a full line distributor, processor distributor in 2018 in Lone Star Seafood, and we actually last Monday was the first day we've sold Lone Star Seafood to a company called Inland Seafood out of Atlanta. And so the first invoices went out last Monday to our customers under Inland Seafood Lone Star. So
Wow.
their 15th location, first one in Texas. And it's just God's amazing grace and faithfulness, to rescue us from a situation and a pivot right in the right time. So, but
That's great.
Yeah.
And so now currently you have the Inland Seafood and then also Fish Fix.
Fish Fix and the tank company.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Greasy. Yeah.
They're
So
great.
I'm the general manager at Inland Lone Star, and
Having two entrepreneurs in the family is a little.
Yeah. Well, next time, we're out of time now, but we'd like to talk more about that. How do you guys make decisions together, and how do you abide, and practical things of how you are working through it. We've heard nothing but a spectacular story of God's grace and bringing you together and working you through, and your even your sense of peace when you knew that your heart was in football, but it's going to be something different, and you just seem to understand that was God's will, and that's kind of a cool thing. So we'll pick this up again next time. We got a lot of questions for you to share with us this great story, and we're excited now. And do you both kind of operate in different companies, or are you both kind of helping each other operate all of them?
He's my vendor.
Yeah, we kind of birthed Fish Fix out of the wholesale business, but now she went on Shark Tank last year, and she's grown so much, and so I have no idea. Really,
no, he's not in the
I'm not
operational side. When I need some products, he's my vendor of record.
Go to him. Hey, give me some product.
There's a couple of items that we produce specifically for her that you can't get anywhere else.
Yeah,
that's so fun.
Yeah. Again, as we end this, did Shark Tank invest, or did they?
You should leave that as a cliffhanger.
You have to let us know.
It's still going on. Okay. Okay, great. Well, Father, we thank you for this great story. Wow, it's just beautiful. It's always wonderful to see you at work in couples' lives and businesses, and how you lead them and guide them and put things together, even their initial years of just learning how to pray together and be with people and meeting really fine Christian people like Kurt Warner, and what a privilege that is. So we just lift it up. We look forward to more of the story and the truth of their joy of life, and we thank you in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Well, Kathy, we will see you tomorrow for End Times Friday, and then we'll pick this up again next week.
Sounds great. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for joining us, Chris and Melissa. Can't wait to hear the rest of your story, and you guys make sure you tune in next week.
Yeah, you bet. All right.
Have a great afternoon.
Thank you for joining us for today's episode of Come and See, your podcast for truth in a world of chaos. Brought to you by All for Jesus Living Waters Ministry. Send us your questions and comments, and tune in tomorrow for more answers to your personal questions about living life in God's truth. Remember, God's will is best and none better. His truth brings peace in this world of chaos.